Put your faith in the light.
Hello guys, welcome to another one of my videos. This is Lightblade, and well guys, in this one we're going to be talking about the recent blue post of changes that they did in the PTR for the Paladin, Retribution Paladin rework. So I'm going to leave the link to the blue post down below in the description so you guys can read it more in depth if you want to, but for now let's go to the talent changes. Okay guys, so first of all, let's talk about the general Paladin tree and the changes that they made this week. For the most part, there's not many big changes that they did. I'm happy to say that we do not have any nerfs. Well, we do have one nerf, but it's something that was just too overpowered and they did have to change it, because if it was left like that, it was just too strong to be in the game. But first, let's talk about the small changes. So there's, for the most part, some small positional changes. You can see Obdurance here. I think it was where Turn Evil is now, so that's a very small change. On the medium changes, we have now Unbound Freedom on this side, so it no longer is under Retribution Paladin tree, and we can actually pick it from the general side. This is really good because it was competing with light celerity, so you had to choose between healing or having movement speed. Now you don't have to do that. You can actually pick Unbound Freedom from the general Paladin tree and also pick the healing from the Retribution Paladin tree, which is really good. Another talent that is now in the general side is Healing Hands. So even though you're probably never going to take Healing Hands because you have so much healing already in our kit as it is, it's nice to have the option to take it, you know, to get that extra cooldown reduction on Lay on Hands if you ever use it on a target that's low. It's just nice to have the option here. But as I said before, we have a lot of healing already, so I don't see us taking Healing Hands, even though it's now in a better place in the general Paladin tree. Okay, so now the big change, and this is the nerf I was talking about. Zealot's Paragon is gone. It's a rip. It's no longer in the general Paladin tree. Instead of that, they gave us Vengeful Wrath. The reasoning behind Zealot's Paragon going away is because it was just too damn strong, especially the extension of wings. You could get like a 1 minute uptime on Crusade and similar uptimes with the normal Avenging Wrath Might, you know, so it was just too damn strong. Now we have this Vengeful Wrath. Like I said, it's also a pretty decent talent. It gives you a really powerful execute phase, and whenever you can use a Hammer of Wrath, because it makes Hammer of Wrath always critically strike, which is really strong. Like I said, execute phases are going to be really damn good for Retribution Paladins. Also, this has some nice synergy with other stuff that we're going to be talking about in the Retribution Paladin tree. Also, this is a nice callback to old talent we had in Legion that made our judgments do 100% critical strike chance on targets that had 50% or more health. This one doesn't affect judgment, but it does affect Hammer of Wrath, so it's a nice callback to one of those Legion era talents. One more thing I want to say, I'm really happy that Sanctified Plates is left unscathed. I hope this talent makes it like this alive and it doesn't get nerfed. Now let's talk about the changes they did in the Retribution Paladin tree. Okay guys, let's talk about the Retribution Paladin specific tree changes for this week. So we have some nerfs, we have some quality of life movement of talents, and we have some new stuff, you know, which is always nice. Some of it though makes me question what Blizzard thinks about Retribution Paladins. Anyways, let's start with the quality of life stuff. So like I said before, in the general Paladin tree stuff, Unbound Freedom and Healing Hands is no longer in the red tree. It's now in the general tree, so that means it no longer has to compete with talent points with stuff like Light Celerity or Guided Prayer, you know, so you can take that on the general Paladin tree, and the only thing you have to worry on the Retribution side is what type of healing you want to take, which both options are pretty good here. Okay, let's talk about the nerfs now. So there's a few nerfs that they did to the Retribution Paladin tree. The first one and the most important one is to Crusading Strikes. So instead of generating 1 holy power every auto attack, now it generates 1 holy power every 2 auto attacks. Who really cares? Because this talent is still really damn strong. It's just going to scale even better when we get haste levels of Season 2 gear. We are still overcapping on holy power because of it, because it just generates too much holy power, and it's still competing with a really weak talent that is Blessed Hammers. Blessed Hammer doesn't actually get any benefits from the Radiant build or the Holy Strike build, so while Crusading Strike does get those benefits, so it's just a non-option there. You're always going to pick Crusading Strikes even after the nerf. Okay, to the next nerfs. So Commanding Judgment got nerfed by 35%. Before it still hits 4 targets, but it now only deals 50% of the damage of the main judgment to the secondary targets instead of 85%. The same treatment went into Blizz Champion. Crusading Strike deals, it still hits up to 4 targets, but it now deals 50% damage to secondary targets instead of the 85 of last week. Okay guys, now that we talked about nerfs, let's talk about some buffs. So they buffed the Justicar's Vengeance. They gave the ability an 8-yard range, which is really powerful. It just makes it flat out better than Final Verdict. Even though Final Verdict has a 12-yard range, that was its only saving grace, you know, because it does less damage than Justicar's Vengeance when using the Holy Strike build. You can see here Justicar's Vengeance does 25k and Final Verdict does only 24. Justicar's Vengeance also has the benefit of healing you, so makes like hard fights easier because you're always going to get big heals from this, while Final Verdict is not going to do that. So because of that, I'm thinking if you're going for the Holy Strike build, Justicar's Vengeance is just going to be the better option of the two, because now it has similar range to Final Verdict. Now, the next ability they buffed, well, talent they buffed, is Inquisitor's Ire. Now, instead of every 3 seconds to get the stack, you do it every 2 seconds. So it stacks a bit faster, you can get that 10 stack Divine Storm. This is one of those talents that you're going to probably use in single target situations, because in those you can just use your single target spender until this thing gets 10 stacks, and then use your 10 stack Divine Storm on single target. While in AoE, it's kind of hard to get the stacks because you're always throwing Divine Storm, so you're not going to get that 10 stack so often. Okay, another buff they did is to Executioner's Will. Now it doesn't require you to use single target abilities to get the extensions on Final Verdict or Execution Sentence. Now the duration is flat out increased by 4 seconds, which is pretty good, you know. It makes this talent useful in both AoE and single target situations, while the other version only made it useful in single target. Okay, so they also buffed Divine Hammers. They made it do a bit more damage than last week, but now it does that damage over a longer period of time. It was 9 seconds, now it's 12 seconds. Another talent, and the last one they buffed, is Adjudication. So now instead of doing extra critical strike damage on the Hammer of Wrath, it still increases your critical chance by 2%, but now when you critical strike with a Hammer of Wrath, you will throw a blessed hammer spiraling around you for 3000 Holy Strike damage, which is really powerful because it benefits from all the buffs from the Holy Strike build. This is the synergy I was talking about when they made Vengeful Wrath. So Hammer of Wrath will always critical strike, which means whenever you throw a Hammer of Wrath when you have Adjudication, you will always have that little hammer spinning around you, giving you extra value in damage. So that's pretty damn good. Okay, now let's go to the last part where we talk about the talents that they added. So they added 2 new talents this week on the Retribution Paladin side. The first one is a really simple one. It's called Divine Wrath. It just increases the duration of your wings by 3 seconds. It's not going to make or break anything. I guess they felt kind of bad because they removed Zealot's Paragon, so they put that here to increase the duration of your wings. So if you want that, you can take it. Another option, and this is the weird one that makes me think, question what Blizzard is thinking about Retribution Paladins. It's called Vanguards of Justice. It has 2 points. Each point makes your single target holy abilities cost 1 additional holy power and deal 20% increased damage. The next point makes it cost 2 additional holy power and deal 40% increased damage. So this is only for single target abilities, you know. But it's still, that's a huge tax to pay just to do extra damage. I remember when Justicar's Vengeance costs 5 holy power, nobody played that thing. So I'm thinking this is not going to see any play. Maybe there's like a secret build that Blizzard wants us to do, but for now I'm thinking this is just too cumbersome to use and we'll never see play. Okay guys, so I think that's all the changes that they made to Retribution Paladins for the week. Oh, I forgot one thing. There's also some not yet implemented stuff. So Physical Presence has a secondary effect that's not yet implemented, so we're going to have to wait for the next build to know what they're planning on doing with this ability, because the Holy Strike build is really damn strong. And they're also going to implement something extra for the Searing Light build, which is the Fire Radiant build, you know. So there's a lot of good stuff that may be coming in the future for Retribution Paladins. But now, yes, now I think we finished with all the news of this week for Red Paladins and all the changes for this PTR build. And well guys, if you enjoy my content, subscribe to the channel and leave a like to the video. Thanks for watching everyone.